Parker's a music professor. Um, I I have a feeling he's a pretty talented guy who has made some choices in his life that the small town life is perfectly fine for him. And teaching at school, having his own kind of private internal world, uh, and I think the sense of town that he has, of community, is something that's really important to him. And he's found a really good balance in his life. I mean, he's strangely one of the only characters in this movie that doesn't change. Kind of is who he is. He's the given in this. And we talk about the dog here, and they say this is not the kind of dog that you can buy. It makes a connection or it doesn't. It doesn't want anything. It can't be bought. It has a spontaneous sense of its own actions and its own sense of what is of worth. And I think, in a way, Parker has that. I think he's a very straightforward guy. As we're evolving this and we're playing with the other actors, it's been interesting to find a level of almost transparency that people know each other without commenting on it. They're not in each other's face all the time. They kind of accept each other. The townspeople do within the family, Parker's family, with Kate and Andy. There's a sense of coexisting in space and time, but it's very forgiving and it's very generous. You know, I think it's a quality that we wanted this film to have. A sense of forgiveness, generosity. Lasse is kind of a leprechaun. He's kind of a Swedish leprechaun, and he he directs with it's almost, his wife Lena and I laugh about this because we don't know quite what he's doing. He's total control of what's going on, but we don't know quite what he's doing or how he's doing it. But it's a very subtle thing he has with all the departments, with us as actors. There's a sense of enormous freedom that we're all given. At the same time, we're doing what he wants us to do, but we found it ourselves. And I think that's one of the great things about him, is he likes that sense of discovery. It's really important. He could very clearly, I'm sure, come in and say, okay, do this. Come in here, say this line like this, stand there, move over there, do this. But it makes it dry and in the end, not very affecting. It takes all the mystery out of it and the fun out of it. I feel very free to try things with him because he'll always pull me back if I go too far and keep it in the realm of the human, the believable. Lasse was really the perfect director for this because Lasse has this great sense of the minutiae of being human. He's very aware of what is becoming burlesque or pushing things one way or another. He's got a very delicate sense of what is true, what is honest and authentic. And I think it's really important in a movie like this. It's almost like a storybook. You know, this is a fable. It's not, as I've been saying, it's not a novel. This is a fable. I've known Joan a long time. I think she was really still working at Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago when we met. And, you know, we needed someone for this piece who, in a very simple story, would bring enormous depth and resonance. And when it was needed, a real sense of gravitas, of power. And she does have this quality of being very light, very kind of invisible. We were talking about the other day, but kind of an invisible way that people who know each other well coexist in space. And then at the same time, she can very quickly conjure a real depth that's way beyond that kind of simplicity. We had a great time doing Pretty Woman, and I think we all had a lot of fun making that. And I've seen Jason a few times, and not a lot. We don't live in the same city, and he also has this quality of being very human. And he can crank it up. He can be, you know, sitcom funny and slapstick, but also can be really touching because it's human. They were very apprehensive about me meeting the dogs because the dogs make up their mind right away about you. They like you or they don't, and if they don't, there's no going back. So, we spent a lot of time putting this movie together, and a lot was banking on this moment where I met the dogs. If they didn't like me, that was 6 months of training with these dogs. We'd have to start over again. So they were, when I first met them, the trainers, they said, look, don't do anything. Don't try to pet them. Don't get needy with them. Don't get all over them. Just be there. Let them come to you. And that's pretty much what I did. I was almost afraid to pet them, after this, because I knew how important this moment was of meeting them. And we had 3 dogs playing the older Hachiko, and we had all these puppies, which are basically like puppies. They're just kind of delicious little creatures. But the older ones were clearly a bit different than the dogs that I've known. They aren't needy. The female was a little more so. She was a little bit smaller of the 3 dogs. Much more gregarious than the other ones. But I think their basic nature was really kind of, yeah, so what? So it took a couple of days before we kind of got more tactile and rolled around a bit, and it was a lot of feeding, hand feeding, and a lot of just feeling comfortable. I'd go over there and we'd just sit around. I'd talk to the trainers they'd already bonded with, and just this comfort level of, oh, here's a new guy who's included in the tribe, and just got him used to my energy and whatever. Now, actually, the female especially, we've worked with a lot, and we're really close the way we've been accomplishing things that I was a little afraid of, actually. I thought, as a producer, we may need 2 or 3 more weeks than we would on a normal movie just to get this stuff with the animals. But I tell you, they've been better than us. These dogs have been incredible. The script was given to me, and it's not a movie that one would expect that I would be drawn to. And I hadn't made a movie like this. And my agents came and said, just read it. So I read it, and I cried like a baby. And I said, oh, man, I'm going to have to do this, aren't I? I said, yeah. And I read it again just to be sure, and it still really moved me. I think there is something really powerfully iconic about this movie, and mysterious, and this story of a dog that waits. I don't know what it is. There's something in the makeup of our hearts that responds to that sense of loyalty, that sense of, I'm always going to be there for you. And it's really, really powerful, deep stuff. And hopefully we've told it in such a way that it's going to be available to people the way it was reading it. The yearning that we feel deepest inside of ourselves is something that fills the universe. And there's something about stories like this, but I think this one in particular, that just touches on that in some delicate way. That this should be mysterious. It shouldn't relate to description.